Greetings, fellow soldiers. Welcome to Bitcoin Liberty Live. This is episode 7, apparently. Here we are back again for our weekly talks. I'm here with Daniel White. I'm Fritz with Satoshi's Militia. He does his writings and talkings. I do my videos and talkings, and here we are once a week getting together to talk about it some more. I've been trying to orange pill lately. I don't know about you. Have you ever tried to orange pill people?
I was trying to see how long I could hold that pace.
You're going to get sore. You know, it's far easier for me to relax my face and then I'm like resting bitch man.
I don't know. I think I have resting douchebag face
Yeah.
or something. I mean, it's like just people. Because I notice, like, if I kind of, like, from walking around a store, I got people kind of doing this, like, you know, like, give me the little side eye kind of thing.
I think I get that a lot too.
But then I'll just give them a little, like, you know, like, oh, he seems nice now. You know, like, I just need to remember to, so I'm going to.
Yeah, I never had good like acting practice or skills or practicing the, you know, good morning, this is KGBI channel 10. I don't have strong muscles up here because I don't really smile that often. Yeah. So like when I'm thinking, or I'll be at my computer and I'm working and thinking, or I'm walking down the hallway and I'm just neutral face and maybe I look like this.
Yeah.
And people look at me like,
what's wrong?
You okay? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, what's up?
Like, yeah, I need to exude more just yellow brick road.
Fuck them. Anyway.
Yeah, so I could improve. I'll focus on that. Smiles and orange pilling people, it's not always easy. I've
successfully orange pilled like 6 people at work.
6 people?
Yeah.
At least off zero, huh?
At least off zero. And I think I've got some that are really drifting towards like kind of getting a little more into it. Yeah. In fact, the guy I was talking to just yesterday, he said, yeah, I was down, and he lives in a small town kind of down the road here. Said he was talking to a local, and the guy said, you're always going for these dumb scams, and it's a scam, and this and that and that. And he actually was pushing back, and he's going, no, you know, it's a little different than that. And he was bringing up some good points. And, you know, so it's like, it's all about spreading the word. I mean, you got to get it out there and kind of get folks thinking about this stuff. But
it runs the gamut for me. I've had everything from people like, I don't know that they ever want to understand it. They're embedded in fiat land, or they've got their investments, and by God, they're hoping that NVIDIA stock holds true. I have others that they kind of get it, but man, they were holding on to their GameStop until maybe yesterday.
Oh, God.
Literally, I got a guy I know aped into GameStop and then was like, Yahoo! And he's excited about it. And I'm like,
of course,
dude, retail rumor rug pull here incoming.
Yeah.
And it came around and I'm like, hey, don't have to worry about all that.
All right. That can just save your money.
There's a different roller coaster to ride here. And it goes up the hill.
Yeah.
So
it's continually going up the hill. You know, I don't know, should we talk about the industry we work in?
I don't have a problem with that.
Well, we work in criminal justice.
Yeah.
And one of the things that is part of criminal justice is the ability to communicate effectively with people that are sometimes hard to communicate with.
Yeah.
But you know, like, for instance, I worked in a prison for a decent amount of time, a few years. And I'm an overeducated smarty pants guy. Like, I got 2 master's degrees. I got a law degree, I've published research. So I'm you know, overachieving, sort of late blooming, kind of that dude. But then I went and started sort of at the ground level as just a fresh-faced recruit. And I quickly learned that, you know, people have a lot of ideas about what happens in prisons and how they run things and what it looks like.
They saw it on TV.
They saw it on TV. They think that's what it's all about. They watch some movie about it, or, you know, I don't know, Locked Up and all this kind of stuff. But they don't know shit. I mean, they're basically ignorant of the whole world.
I experienced the same.
Yeah.
People know a lot about your job, and you're like, okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they got a lot of ideas, right? But that's true across the board. I just posted a thing this morning, you know, just realizing, like, being wrong is probably the most fruitful avenue you can take, especially if you're trying to do media stuff. Just be wrong. You get a lot more traction that way. Nevertheless, working in a prison will teach you the benefit of effective communications, and if you're an overeducated smarty pants guy like me, you go and do research on how to be an effective communicator. And I think my track record of success with orange pilling people comes from that communication background.
Yeah.
Not communication like, typing shit, but I mean communication like interpersonal, talking to folks. And I can tell you 100%, the most effective orange pilling method I have so far is I go, hey man, Bitcoin's amazing. And people go, yeah, Bitcoin, that's idiot stuff. That's stupid. That's a scam. That's a this.
That's how it starts.
Doesn't matter what they say. I go, I completely understand why you think that. I used to think the exact same thing. And then I just kind of let it sit there and they go, oh, but immediately it's
not adversarial. It's like, no, I relate.
Yeah,
and
100%.
Think about that.
So this is part of correctional communication is you have to have empathetic listening. You have to be able to do perspective taking. And if you sit there and go, you're a moron, you dipshit, of course it's better, you're dumb, I'm smart. I mean, you want to get someone turned off to you, just make them feel dumb. And I'm king of that. I'll go around and just make people feel stupid, almost as sport. But yeah, so if you're looking for tips and tricks on how to orange pill people, understanding.
You wrote an article about the kind of a process of
100%.
Not argument, but facing an adversary in that regard.
Yeah.
Like, so, for an example, on Twitter, you could say anything. You say something about Bitcoin, whatever, and you get that troll. Oh, this, Bitcoin that, or dumb. The other. Yeah. Bitcoin dumb. Oh, have fun being whatever. And then you can, instead of what's commonly thought of is like, oh, if you're going to win a debate, like, good attorneys, good lawyers, good at debate. And debate kind of like this is a fight,
right?
As if there's like a judge,
and I'm going to prove a point,
right? And you're going to win in a technical way for some reason. And people being emotional animals, and they don't care. It don't matter.
Exactly.
It's a psychological puzzle.
Yeah.
And so instead of trying to be right and like, no, technically this 1 + 1 is 2. Here, do you see that?
Yeah.
No, it's not. I have always known it to be whatever I think it is.
Right.
Okay.
But you're
wrong. You're done.
Yeah. Well, then it's just back and forth. You're wrong. No, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. But it's just, you're just adding more points on top.
Yeah, and it's back and forth. You'll never win. And then it's just like, don't even waste your time. Whereas the psychological runaround that you had explained really well in one of your articles, or you tweeted about it too, I think, was working with that where I understand or I relate to that. I've been there, and and you walked through something quite empathetic.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's a great guy out there. If you want to just go YouTube him, his name's Chris Voss, Voss. He's a former FBI negotiator. He's an expert at this kind of stuff. And the thing is one of his little tropes that he talks about is everyone's trying to get to yes, trying to get to an agreement. I need you to agree with my point. Good luck with that. Something. Yeah, I mean, it's just, but all day long, we are getting bombarded with people that are trying to lever us into doing something. Hey, man, have you seen this latest new thing? Widget, doodad, hustle. Can I help you increase your portfolio? Can I give you more stamina at night? I mean, it's just constant sales nonsense, right? But they're all making the mistake of trying to get you to yes and overcome objections. And I go, you have to kind of, it's more like be the willow, flow with the water kind of thing. And when you adopt that strategy, life gets easier across the board. I mean, with your spouse, your kids, whatever it is. But
you're not winning or you're not being right.
Right.
It's a relationship.
It's about understanding.
And understanding.
You have to come to an understanding of things, not I'm going to prove my point to you. And so part of understanding is being understanding. Crazy idea, right? You go, hey man, Bitcoin's stupid. I go, I get why you think that. 100%. Makes perfect sense to me.
I have orange pilled 2 people at work, and a third one, and I don't have a big office, but of say the 6 people I work with, a couple of them are off zero and somewhat get it, and then I have one that really wants to, and it's a little technically hard. With other acquaintances, friendships, I'd say another handful, but various stages of why they're doing that. Some people's motivations are very different, and others are just so there. For example, I have family who you'd say, okay, politically, or as far as a broken system perspective, they totally get it. Like, yes, it's wrong. But then I start to go into Bitcoin, And it's not that I'm overcomplicating it. I'm really trying to keep it simple and relatable, but it connects from where they're at to how it trickles down into our money and our day-to-day just relationship with time and everything. And if I start to describe too much, I think there's this ingrained behavior, or maybe we can get into being boomer, age things, brain flexibility perhaps. I start to describe just maybe a little too much, and it's like, whoa, 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 whoa! You said the word arithmetic. I'm done. Or cryptography. Okay, I've heard that word, but oh, wow, this is so complicated. I can't do this. It's so hard. Like I need you to hold my hand and push that button with my finger to get off zero.
Yeah. Well, I think that's part of it. I mean, like, part of it is complexity. I've heard people like trying to orange pill people, and they're going, "Okay, this is what you got to do. You got to set up a seed phrase and a wallet and this." And I'm just like, "What the hell are you doing?" Like, these are people that don't know how to check their email. Like, if the remote dies, they can't figure out the VCR, and you want to explain XPubs and all this shit. And I'm just like, you guys are out of your minds. Like, You're never gonna orange pill anybody ever. Unless they're like already some computer science geek, but then they already kind of understand Bitcoin anyway, and they've already made a decision on it based on other shit.
Right.
But if you start talking about cryptography and this and that, and this, you got to get it on a hardware wallet, and you got to set up a seed phrase, and then you got to do this, and it's like, no, dude.
If you think about all the blinking 12 o'clock VCRs out there in the world that's out for decades,
right,
and you want these people to get off zero, and if they can't change their VCR from blinking 12, well, have fun staying poor,
Right, yeah.
It's just, then Bitcoin fails because you're not going to do it until it's fed to them in the trough. So
again, and that's exactly right. And like I said at the outset, if you make people feel dumb, that's a number one way to get someone to just absolutely think you're an asshole. So if you want to convince people, like I use Cash App because it's easy. Most people understand Cash App, and it's like, if you look at the user interface, it's just like dong, dong, ding. You have Bitcoin now. Oh, that wasn't so bad. Yeah. We can have a discussion later. I mean, if you just sit there and go, yeah, I've still got $100 2 years from now, you go, all right, well, you're not really in Bitcoin yet. You haven't quite gotten over that hump yet. But if they kind of go, hey, I got some more Bitcoin and the price went up and wow, this thing's really going, then you can start having those discussions. You go, hey, that's great. You should keep stacking on here. Sooner or later, if you get to a point where you get here, you might want to start thinking about some other things. They go, what other things? Well, there's a whole lot of stuff. It can get kind of complicated and technical. But if you want some help, I'm happy to give it to you at that time. Just right now, you're doing great. That's awesome. I think it's perfect. Just keep going, man,
One of my pitfalls when I was like excited about orange pilling people, and I'm experiencing it at every deep level, and it's just like, oh, there's so much to this, and I want to share that. And then I'll run into people, and it's like they can't handle it. It's way too much. And like you said, starting easy, I got to a point where I wasn't having as much success at sometimes because I'd start to like get talking and like little rabbit Jojo, so excited about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And they're like, whoa, you lost me at like just step 2 here. And so I got to a point where it's like, hey, if you're curious and interested, like I just for number go up reasons, I think it's great to just have a little, just for fun, just to watch it. If you own any, you'll be thinking about it and you'll just kind of pay attention and you'll learn. You'll figure it out. It took me a lot of time.
Yeah.
It took me a long time, and I've been where you are now.
Yeah.
So I totally get it. But I had a friend who helped me. And what is $5? Would you put $5 in just to see that you have a number and you could look at it and just see how that works?
Yeah.
Now, if you lost it or you couldn't figure it out, your phone got destroyed, it was a hotkey, whatever. Well, $5 was a little practice in Bitcoin.
$10, $100, whatever. Yeah.
So I'd like, I could send them the referral link to Swan. Hey, I have a Swan, a Swan referral link or a Strike referral link, and I just say, hey, I'm just going to text you this thing. Do that.
Yeah.
And maybe it's like worth a free bit of, or I'll just send them some. I'll send them a few bucks in Bitcoin. Hey, look how easy this is. This uses Lightning, but here you go. Dink, here's $1. Boop. Oh, well, that's cool.
Yeah.
And they just saw this little like electronic cash system.
Yeah.
However it works, they don't know.
They don't know.
But they saw it work, and they know they have like a few bucks of Bitcoin. It's that little checkbox or a little feather in their cap, like, I own Bitcoin.
Yeah. 100%.
That is a big step.
Yeah, it's huge.
I used to poo-poo that, like, come on, like DCA, man. Getting them to like $20 is kind of like,
it's a huge win.
It's a jump.
Yeah, that's massive.
It's the first step. So.
Yeah, and I mean that's like I watched our good friend Travis. We do a little Bitcoin meetup here that is attended by me, Fritz, and Travis. Universally, like all three of us.
And maybe a wife or two, but
yeah, maybe the wives, and they're usually bored by the first 5 minutes. So, but the point being is like I remember we were talking to the bartender, and she owns a joint and super awesome lady, and lets us use this space.
Oh yeah, I should mention we're here at Liberty Tap Works, and our good friend, I used to work with her for years. She owns the place and gives us this space. So anyway, Thank you.
Well, I remember I was talking to her because she was actually kind of shitcoining, and I can't remember what app she was using. But I was telling her, hey, like
crypto.com or
yeah, something like that. I mean, it's a shitcoin site. I don't know. But nevertheless, I started telling her, hey, you might consider this, and I totally understand that, and you should think about getting off this and maybe going here. And the next thing I know, Travis is over there talking about Xpubs, and you got to do this. And I literally asked her, I was like, do you have any idea what he just said? Nope. I mean, like, he may as well have not said anything because she was just, she tuned that shit out like 2 seconds flat.
Well, she could have said, that's too hard. I can't do that. I just know I can't do that. I'm not a genius like you.
Well, but that's a problem is because when people get that feedback, they go, no, let me tell you more shit. And I'm like, and it's a form of narcissism itself of just like, I have all this great information. I have to give it to you and make sure that it's just like, no, dude, you need to meet people where they're at.
Not that I don't love doing that, but yeah, I've tried to back my approach off.
Well, you almost have to. Like, I'm the same way. I want to like explain everything to everybody all the time, and people just it's too overwhelming, and it starts sounding like salesmanship anyway. I mean, if someone's pushing something on you constantly, it's going, hey, no, but you really should try this. You should really get into it. You got to understand, and people start going, wait, why are you pushing this so hard, buddy? Like, if it's so great, how come you have to do this hard sales push on me? And it just immediately turns people off, and I'm just like, we're doing such a disservice to everybody by just being douchey and sort of pushy. And
in that that podcast, What Bitcoin Did, Peter McCormack, he has been criticized at times for now I think he's very, very smart, and he knows a lot of the tech. He really does, and he can have conversations with all kinds of people from a wide spectrum of the social movement, the politics, the mining, and the dev tech stuff. He's had conversations with all kinds of people, and he holds his own very well. He has interesting conversations, and he knows a lot of the details. And then he's not afraid to say, hey, I don't know exactly how this works, and also I don't necessarily want to know or need to know. I will use it when it works for me. Yeah. I'm not a tech genius, and I know the technology's evolving and smart people are working on it, and I'm wholly supportive of smart people who are good at that, doing that job for Bitcoin. And I am not going to set up my own Lightning channel and lock away Satoshis so that I can do my private little Lightning channel thing. Like, I know I could, but the tool, if Bitcoin's going to work, the tools have to be there to let grandma know how to use it. And once it's there, then we know it works for the people. Right. It could be treasury asset or with layers money for the people. And that's the charge we have, is make it accessible to people. So it's like, oh, well, it just sounds like it's money for geniuses. And then how many people in the world are going to benefit off that? We need global adoption. Global adoption is not going to be people who are computer people.
No. Well, people aren't computer people. I mean,
people inherently are not.
Right. So, the thing is, if as long as we keep it a savings technology, I'm pretty happy with that outcome. And people might disagree. I don't care. It fundamentally changes things. And, I was just talking to that same guy who had gone orange pilled a few weeks ago, but I was talking to him last night, and it's about the rules of the game. And that, I think people really underestimate just how fundamentally Bitcoin changes things just by fixing the rules, and getting that across to folks, because they keep talking about, we need transactions, and we need, it needs to be globally adopted so people can buy coffee and all this shit. And I go, that's probably the least important thing about Bitcoin right now that we could possibly contemplate. And yet there's a substantial camp of people that are just like, it has to be this way or else it's no good. I'm like, oh, dude, I'm like, And I guess the example I use in the book is like, think about like a basketball game, football game, you name it, and I just go, take that same game, whatever it is, let's say basketball, you have to maintain possession of a ball and you have to put it in a hoop at the other end of the court. And then the other side has to try and take possession of the ball, retain possession of the ball, and put it in a hoop on the other side. It's the simplest goddamn thing in the world, just from a fundamental setup standpoint. And you go, take away all the rules, and what happens? You go, you got guys duking it out in like 10 seconds flat, right? So they come up with a rule. They go, hey, like, if you just set up that game, you have to put a ball in that hoop. You guys have to put a ball in this hoop. And the first thing you're going to do is someone's going to walk up and kick you in the balls and take the ball from you. And then they go, whoa, 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 whoa. No kicking in the balls. That's no good. We can't do that anymore. Okay, we all agree, no kicking in the balls. And then the next guy comes up and gives you an elbow in the face. And you go, all right, no elbows in the face. Okay, this guy just decides to sprint across the court. You go, no, you can't sprint. You can only take 2 steps or 3 steps depending on how.
You have to dribble.
Yeah, and you have to dribble. Well, what happens if I pick up the ball and how many steps can I take? Okay, there's a new rule. And they keep refining these rules to make sure that people don't get hurt and it's fair and yada, yada, yada. But the problem with the rule set in a competition-based system is you're always pushing those rules, because if you watch basketball to this day, it's illegal to like run into people, but it happens. And it's illegal to do traveling, but it happens. And, you know, because people are pushing the boundary of those rules, it incentivizes you to push the limits. And there's no mechanism to stop you from pushing the limits. And so I go, what happens if you took basketball just the way it is right now and made it impossible to do a foul? You know, you are not, if you try and elbow somebody, you try and run into them when their feet are planted or whatever, it makes it impossible to travel. It makes it impossible to do these. Some magical force field comes down, prevents that outcome from happening. What happens in the game of basketball? It fundamentally changes what people focus on. They go, right now, it benefits me. I can strategically think about when I can foul. But if you're not allowed to foul, you go, oh, I can no longer strategically foul.
Your thinking of the game changes, yeah.
Your thinking of the game changes, your approach to the game changes. And eventually what it turns into is if you're not allowed to push the boundaries of the rules, or if you're not allowed to stretch the rules, if you're not allowed to manipulate the rules to your advantage or try to seek advantage in the rules, suddenly the game turns into, oh, we need to focus on athleticism, we need to focus on strategy, we need to focus on, you know, good passing or whatever it is. But it makes it so the game becomes a lot more fair overnight. It disincentivizes cheating, pushing the boundaries, all that kind of stuff. It turns it into a very fair competition. And I go, the game we're playing right now that most people don't realize they're playing is that the game is capture as much paper dollars as you can, and people have shifted the rules towards their favor. So you go, what happens if you're not allowed to just capture money? Oh, well, it changes everything. Fundamentally, it makes the game fair for everybody to compete, and it takes away all these incentives to, you know, hoard, steal, cheat, lie, manipulate, you know, lever, debt, et cetera, et cetera.
And your view on winning or the spirit of competition or playing the game in the first place shifts into a spirit of a good game versus I just need to win.
Correct.
I need more numbers
absolutely
from you.
Right.
I'm taking
by any means.
However I can.
Yeah. And I mean, even if people are playing within the rules, most people don't understand the rules. I go, how many of you understand the tax code right now? 0. How many of you understand, you know, the laws of finance or securities law? I watch people post shit on Twitter and they go, you guys are ignorant. You have no idea what you're talking about right now. But they think they're all super smart about the law, tax code, all kinds of shit. And I go, you're not. You don't even understand the rule set. How do you expect to succeed in the game if you don't even understand the fundamental rules? And they're fundamentally complex and opaque and weird for a reason, because it's so easy to cheat this system. And so people keep trying to come up with ways to stop cheating from happening.
I'm going to win the GameStop game.
Right. But
I can outthink the, you know, what,
the
everyone
rules.
else.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're not playing by a unified rule set, you're already at a disadvantage. You'll always be at a disadvantage. Everybody that works at a job and shows up and drinks their coffee and sends useless emails all day is playing by the wrong rules. They think they're playing the game, but the guys sitting at the top of the thing have already figured out the rules, and the rules are different. They're different than what we think. It's not their fault. It's our fault. But nevertheless, if you strip away all that and you just go, now it's fair, like you said, it becomes a competition that's based on very different outcomes and very different incentives. And that's why when I hear people going, we have to figure out transactions, I'm going like, you're trying to play this game in the old rule set without fixing the base layer rule, which is you can't steal money. So fix this first and figure out the transaction thing later, because that's that is so irrelevant to the broader concept of like you have to fix the game first, not add some new rules to the game on top of it and still have a structure underneath that's going to 100% screw you over for the rest of your life, because that's what it's designed to do. So anyway, I'll get off my soapbox.
And so as Bitcoin has fixed that, when I orange pill people, I don't mind starting with some of the base layer concepts at some level if they want to hear it, just how Bitcoin fixes that. But ultimately, when I'm orange pilling somebody new, it's not base layer stuff. It's always layer 2 or a 3 for them, because what they're going to interact with Bitcoin, and probably for the rest of their lives ever, are layers on top of Bitcoin that makes Bitcoin work for them. It's not like that Treasury Reserve where they're doing UTXOs. It's going to be an app of some kind or something liquid or lightning oriented that makes it work for them in a way that they can do. And then it feels like medium of exchange for them. Whereas Bitcoin at the base layer ultimately is not going to be that medium of exchange for most everybody.
Well, I think, I think even on the layer 2 thing, I still promote the savings technology. I go, this is how you save your money. This is where you save. This is where you don't get kicked in the dick by fiat debasement.
You can still get in on the base layer right now.
You can get on.
What an opportunity.
Yeah, we have the opportunity to get in on the base layer. So we get to have the most secure property rights of anybody on planet Earth right now. Sooner or later, though, it's going to abstract to layer 2. But the thing is, it doesn't change the savings technology. You go, well, it's not your keys, not your crypto, all this kind of shit. And I just go, it doesn't matter. As long as the base layer stays decentralized and secure, the layer 2s can also remain secure enough for most people. Because, like, how much savings do most people have? I don't know, $300.
It's basically their tax return. For most people, their life savings is their annual tax return.
Yeah, their savings technology right now is, I hope the IRS gives me some money back that they stole from me. You go, Christ, well, how about if someone was able to save $1,000 a year on strike in Bitcoin? You go, is that a bonus? Is that better? Is their life going to be better? Well, they don't own the keys. It's not theirs. It's not self-custody. It's like, they just saved money for the last 10 years. Money that went up in value. How is that bad? And they can get rid of it quickly if they need to. Win, all the way across.
Yeah.
Just because they don't have like this fundamental property right, you go, well, nobody has fundamental property rights right now. Everybody seems more than happy to go out and buy a house, buy a car, buy all kinds of shit that you don't really own. Same thing with your Bitcoin on a layer 2. You go, well, it's an abstract of this thing, but at least it's tied to a fundamental property right. It's a better version of the game, is what I'm getting.
Yeah, and if they have,
golly, I'm pumped up today.
We've had some good coffee this morning. I brewed a strong pot. No, I totally hear you. Anything that gets people off zero at the level that they can handle, and if they have questions about it, and if that involves base layer, how Bitcoin works, or some of the history, the origins of that, the big money system, I will talk about it. But boy, if I rush in too hard on any of that stuff, it can be like, whoa, Satoshi Nakamoto.
Yeah.
Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like, some people are curious, some people are not so much, or otherwise, some people just need it to work, or they need to see it on an app and see a number and be like, oh, you just sent me $1. So that works. And they're relating it to their Visa or their Apple Pay or whatever.
Yeah.
That's how they're thinking about it. I had a good conversation with my parents are in town. We got family events going on like all week this past week. And just talking with them about it, where they're expressing and showing more interest in a lot of things because it's a slow walk, ease into it, where I can show them real basic layer 2 stuff. If they have a question, I can talk about base layer stuff. But boy, it's a careful little steady dribble of excited, curious interest and development of where that path goes, but not diving in whole hog and going crazy about it. For them, it's got to seep in steadily.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's a process, and I've changed my approach to orange pilling a lot over the years, and I used to really dive in and rush in, and now, boy, I keep it super simple and low barrier.
KISS method, 100%.
Keep it simple.
I send a lot of river links out in the world. I send a lot of swan links out in the world. So there's your free plug, River and Swan.
Yeah. And I like Strike too.
I never send Strike anything. Just River and Swan.
I happen to start with Strike. I do Swan. I do a lot of Strike and a lot of Swan. For me, I'll say, how do you imagine maybe if somebody's ready? How might you use Bitcoin? Like, are you thinking kind of little transactions day to day to play with it or to use it, sort of utility? Like, would you maybe use it like a money? Maybe Strike is kind of the way to go because you can do Lightning QR code type stuff pretty easy. If you're thinking like, no, I just want to have some in and just hold it and not worry about it and just watch it. And maybe
River and Swan.
And yeah, so maybe I'll DCA. Well, so then I tend to do Swan. River, Unchained are also good routes for that. And that's for like, safe, protected holdings. And that's like, retirement type planning perhaps, or just hold it for the long term.
There's a very, sorry, I didn't mean to.
Oh yeah, no, good.
There's a very strong, compelling reason why I do not direct people to do the transactional thing as you're suggesting.
Okay.
Because there are tax implications in the United States of America, and you are setting people up to get forked.
So you think if somebody, say, buys a beer or buys a coffee, that the IRS could say, you owe us a percentage of that tax on that dollar?
Well, what I can say is there's 100% every time you file a tax return right now, they go, did you trade any crypto assets? And you go,
the answer is no.
No. And then they go, oh, well, you KYC'd to this thing. It looks like you bought some, so it looks like you're committing tax fraud.
But really, though, I mean, come on. No, I get it. I have thought.
Supervise right now?
Supervise?
Yeah, how many people on your caseload?
Oh, 200?
Yeah.
Actively.
Yeah. Every one of them thought the same thing. Oh, they'll never catch me for this.
I would argue that buying coffee using Lightning or Strike or whatever is different than stealing somebody's car and going on a wild chase with the cops.
Well, tell it to the IRS because they will disagree with you 100%. Tax fraud is tax fraud.
So the
Failing
IRS
to declare income is fraud. Failing to identify assets when they've asked you, or affirmatively denying that you have an asset that they've asked you about, fraud. And those are all taxable events. If you bought Bitcoin at 60,000, it goes up to 70,000, and you go buy a coffee with it, that you owe capital gains on that transaction. 100%.
I
sold
deny
Bitcoin.
it. I deny their authority.
Good luck with that.
Well, so if you steal a car and the cops chase you and you run and you get tased and arrested and you get put on probation, that is different than the IRS after so many years and they get around to it. What do they audit you or they say, oh yeah, you owe us some more money.
Yeah.
Now, yes, there's implications you're talking about. Am I a gambler or maybe I'm a risk taker? Maybe I'm willing to take that risk.
You are clearly willing to take that
I guess
risk.
I'm willing to take that risk. I might be in danger.
I am not. I pay my taxes. You can call me any name you want. You can say I'm some sort of cuck, whatever, blah, 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 puppet of the state, yada, yada, yada. I go, I work for the state. I see what they can do.
You know more about the law than I do as well. Not that I understand.
I don't mess with those guys. I go, hey, did you have crypto assets this year? Yep. There's a reason I filed a 685-page tax return because I go, they told me I have to do this. Here you go. Here you go, dear leaders. Here you go, rulers.
And when you're on, say you're using an exchange, they have tools that help you do that when it's tax time. I mean, they'll send you a spreadsheet of your stuff and how to sort that and do that. And you've done that. I mean, so when you're paying your taxes.
No. I had to use specialized software to track down all my transactions because I was a shitcoiner. So I was going around doing like DeFi and all this crazy shit and these, decentralized exchanges. I had thousands and thousands of transactions. And every one of them is a taxable event. That's why I'm pointing this out. I go, hey, I traded some shitcoin X to get into shitcoin Y. And they go, oh, taxable event. You made a little money here. That's a taxable event. And so you have to balance all this shit out to figure out how much tax you owe. There's a reason you have to report every single transaction you do for every single wallet you control, which is also why my tax return this year is going to be super, super simple because I go, what are your transactions? Well, I bought Bitcoin and it sits there. I go, oh, was there a taxable event? Nope, because I bought Bitcoin and it sits there. Did you use Strike or anything like that to buy 14,000 copies and buttons and stickers and all this kind of? Nope, no taxable events there either, sir. Thank you very much. This is just an asset that I'm just saving. They go,
So keep
cool.
your taxable events in fiat, is what you're saying. Effectively.
100%. They demand that you pay in fiat. You may as well keep your taxable events in fiat.
Or the alternative, if you're smarter than many people like us here, is you buy non-KYC routes with the full gamut of operational security.
You have very much the opportunity to go to a P2P exchange. You can actually save up some RuneScape gold. You can trade that for Bitcoin. No one will know that you're playing RuneScape and saving up gold. It's a legit way to get.
I'm working, honey.
Yeah, what are you doing? Stacking sats. Stacking sats. I mean, I swear to God, that's a legit on-ramp into non-KYC Bitcoin.
I want more than that. I need my full Bitcoins, you know?
Yeah, well, the trouble you have is you have to transact in fiat, even if you go to an OTC exchange or even if you go meet some guy in a parking lot and you hand them $70,000, that's going to get converted somewhere to something. And people start asking questions when you start moving in size. So, yeah, I'd just say, hey, you can always fire up a mining rig. But, that's...
Roll the dice there.
Well,
it's better than the lottery, for sure.
Get yourself a few petahash. You'll get a couple Bitcoins out of it in a little while. Why not?
Eventually. Yeah. Eventually. Get 1 or 2 blocks, boy, you're set.
Yeah, no taxable event on the Bitcoin. And if you want to lie to the IRS and say, no, I don't have any Bitcoin, well, it's going to be tough for them to prove it. If you bought your shit on Kraken, Swan, River, any of those things, yeah, 100%. They are aware that you have some because it's tied to you and your social security number.
Yeah, and one aspect to all that is basically one point to make is like, don't sell your Bitcoin.
Don't sell your Bitcoin.
Stack and don't sell.
Yeah.
Which brings me to an idea. So we were talking a lot about austerity last podcast, austerity.
This guy.
God damn myself, I bought myself a new vehicle, and without getting into detail about it, I've been so let me justify my.
Let's hear the justification.
Okay.
Here's the feeling.
I came into this fully knowing that someone as smart as Daniel is going to say, "Motherfucker, we're just talking about austerity and staying humble and stacking sats, and you buy yourself a new vehicle."
It's not just a new vehicle. Come on.
I'm embarrassed.
Don't be embarrassed. It's pretty cool. I mean, I'll grant that.
I have imposter syndrome. So here's the backstory. I've been limping along this old Suzuki rig that has over 200,000 miles.
It's an awesome car.
It runs, and less so, month by month. And I've been maintaining it. It leaks. I got to top things off. I've got to fix stuff on it. But it runs. And I've had it for like 20 years.
How much do you think those repairs cost every year?
Several $100s.
At least several $100.
I mean, geez.
So
anyway, in my time.
So the way you repair a $700 annual leak is to
buy a new car. Well, it was a Tesla, okay? Sorry.
Not just a Tesla.
If you've heard of this Cybertruck thing, I ordered it like 4.5 years ago when Elon Musk went out and unveiled how cheap it was going to be and how awesome it was going to be. Okay, yeah.
When he was soliciting investors for his two.
I am such a douchebag.
You're not a douchebag. It's a cool car.
It's
I haven't
awesome.
Even seen it yet. He's charging it right now.
I should have driven it in. I know. It's like, who am I?
You're a Cybertruck
I'm not
now.
So I'm curious as to your perspective on all this because, okay, living in the fiat world and, okay, haven't sold Bitcoin, okay? Haven't sold any Bitcoin.
He's saving his money.
So when I what was it, $100 to reserve this Cybertruck back in November of 2019.
Yeah.
And
it's called seed capital.
Yeah, I reserved
for
it.
Elon.
Yeah, and
he
I was
has a shitload of seed capital. By the way.
Yeah, for him, he got a whole bunch of money that he got to sit on and use as collateral for other loans, whatever.
I think he bought Bitcoin.
He probably bought Bitcoin.
With your $100.
With my $100 that I gave to Tesla to hold this reservation, I'm sure Elon bought Bitcoin with it. Regardless, years go by, COVID hits, yada, yada, and I sort of figure, I may never see this thing or get this thing. Don't really care. If it comes, it comes. my number comes up randomly. Hey, in Austin, Texas, your VIN number is up. Do you still want this thing? And I'm like weighing my options of for the last 2 years, I've been like, God dang it, I need a new car. I'm tired of this old Suzuki. Yes, it runs. Could it break down at any moment? Yes, perhaps. It's going to need a new timing chain. It may need a new engine.
Put a big dollar sign right in the middle of the screen here.
Dollar signs here. Fiat dollars. And okay,
Fiat bucks.
Yeah.
I'm teasing. Fritz.
I've wanted a new car for a long time.
That's
Or at least new to me.
That's
Used new. I have this hang up hook in my brain of the Fiat mindset. You're still driving.
We all do.
Yeah, you've got your Prius that works great.
17-year-old Prius.
Works fine.
I'm going to put a lift kit on it, though, so I am wasting some money.
So what I need you, a lift kit on your Prius?
I swear to God, yeah.
And the rack, or no, maybe not the rack.
I'm not going to do the rack. I might get a skid plate.
Yeah. It'll be cool.
Off-road Prius. I'm such an asshole. I don't know. I thought it would be funny. Anyway, continue.
Well, part of so staying humble and balancing personal life needs and your austerity. We talked a bit about it like last week, but there's a mental health and happiness component to how austere
Those are not needs.
are you. Those are not needs. Mental health?
Those are desires.
I know.
Just between me and you, Fritz doesn't have to know.
I succumbed. I'm sorry. I did not sell Bitcoin to do it. It will impact my sat stacking, certainly.
Mm.
You can remind me for years, for the rest of my life, what that knew this or that knew that would have been in Bitcoin.
Let's start doing the math. What do you think? Let's start mathing.
So it's funny. People are like, and naturally, people are curious. People are interested. People are cool. They're like, how much did that cost? And what I'll say, because I don't want to talk about money necessarily or make it a thing, or sound like something, I'll just say 1 Bitcoin. Knowing that I didn't pay for it in Bitcoin, but so on the back of my Cybertruck, I put one of those study Bitcoin stickers on it. It says study Bitcoin. I have something to say about that, but
it's a little oxymoron.
So for people who don't know,
there's Bitcoin by Tesla.
Right. Yeah. What is that? What does this mean? You got rich. Oh, you got lucky. Oh, you're a genius. No. People say, well, how much is that worth? Well, 1 Bitcoin. Now, it doesn't relate really at all. It's just it's a conversation starter. So for me, it's like, well, what does that mean? Or they have to look it up. It's a way that I can start talking about Bitcoin with them a little bit. Now, the reality is, did I buy it? Did I sell Bitcoin? No. But is Bitcoin my core reserve long-term sense of what money is to me? Yes.
Did you lever?
Did I lever?
Did you lever to get the Tesla?
It's debt right now for me. So, sorry.
I'm just teasing.
What do you think of debt? So here's a concept. What do you? Here's what very, very rich people do in the world. Is they buy tangible assets. They go into huge debt levering those assets. Mm-hmm. And on paper, they're hugely in debt. Now, we know they're millionaires and billionaires. Mm-hmm. Is holding debt with a melting dollar as bad as saving fiat in a savings account? I don't know. What do you think of holding debt in fiat world?
Well, I think the key to your sentence there is rich people buy assets with debt, poor people buy things with debt.
You got me.
I'll just leave that there. No further comment.
What if my asset is practical in some sense of benefiting my life and being a lifetime car? And
is there a monetary premium? Can you expect a legitimate monetary premium to accrue to your Cybertruck that they just roll off as quickly as they can from the assembly line?
I could DoorDash, okay? I'll DoorDash. I can make money DoorDashing. Or, I don't know. I'm still thinking about this. It's not just driving it for me and speeding on the freeway.
It's a cute toy. Here's my relatable story for Mr. Fritz.
Your BMW.
When I was a wage earner, and I was making a good wage at the time. It was like six figures in the 90s, and that's not nothing. That would probably be like mid six figures today, or low to mid six figures today. My girlfriend's uncle was a legitimately rich guy, asset holder. Had like 3 acres in Bel Air and a big mansion, and he's some finance guy, some CFA that was just he was printing money basically. And I went out to his garage, and at the time I had just bought a brand new 5 Series BMW. I was like one of the first kids in LA to own this particular, because it was when they upgraded the body style, like 2004, 2005, something like that. And I just walked in on a whim and went, I wanted that car. Yeah, let me lever up and get this thing. I'm a wage earner, keep in mind. And the car, was probably 70 grand or something like that at the time. So usually expensive, probably $150,000, $160,000 car today. And maybe even $200,000 a day. I don't know. I mean, it's, shit's gone up. But I remember, like, I was driving around town. Nobody else had one of these. I was driving all over Los Angeles freeways. I didn't see any other 5 Series BMWs. I pulled up to a bar in West Hollywood on the Sunset Strip, and there's like a McLaren, and there's a Lamborghini and a Ferrari sitting out front. And the valet goes, "Oh, hey man, can I park your car out here next to these?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, because I've arrived. I've got the, So when I walked back out of the bar, there was my car sitting next to all these supercars and shit, and I was going, "Hey, I've made it! Woohoo! Look at me! I got my brand new BMW." Anyway, I went to the girlfriend's uncle's house. I'm talking to him, and he's got a Porsche Boxster sitting in the garage. I went out to the garage because he had a fridge out there and get a beer. And I came in just as a conversation piece. I go, "Hey, I saw you got a new Boxster out there. What'd you do that for?" He goes, "Oh, yeah, I really struggled with that decision. I've been thinking about buying that car for 2 years." And I went, 2 years? Why? Because I wasn't sure if I wanted to spend that much money on a car. And I'm going, that's funny. This guy's probably pulling in, I don't know, 8-9 figures a year. 8 figures a year pretty easily. And he contemplated spending 70 grand cash, just here you go, I'll take it, for 2 years before he pulled the trigger, and he still felt guilty about it. I, on the other hand, little fiat monkey, went out and levered up on a wage earning salary that I lost a year later because I thought it would be cool. I didn't even think about it at all. I just went, ooh, shiny thing, want that. And that was a fundamental shift for me in my life where I went, oh my God, I'm doing this. I'm playing the wrong game. I'm playing by the wrong rules. That guy's playing by the right rules. I'm playing by rules that I think they are, but they're not. Oops, I should really probably stop doing this. I was sort of forced to stop doing that because like my whole financial world collapsed. I've talked about it in the past. So yeah, that's my long-winded story about buying BMWs, brand new, first kid on the block.
I accept all criticism. My fiat monkey brain succumbed to, I don't know what. I'm still reconciling it with myself. And I've been
I just hope
giddy.
Giddy, of course.
My God.
There's a huge dopamine rush that comes with that purchase.
Certainly. So, apologies to all.
Don't apologize. It's your money, man. You do whatever you want.
Well,
I'm just going to judge you harshly forever. That's all.
Yeah. No, I'm still sorting
Fritz
out
is awesome.
what this all means to me.
Fritz deserves a little perk in life.
I have been working my ass off for a long time with aspects of austerity in my life as I stack Bitcoin steadily and budgeting things as I can. And in all the areas of my life that I spend both time and money on, there are areas for splurging and fun, and then there's areas of austerity, and I try to keep a balance. In that pie chart, I kind of made a wider Pac-Man bite with something that is perhaps hedonistic, perhaps also incredibly practical and fun, but then also, okay, maybe not so practical, sorry.
Fun.
It's practical, okay? It's transportation.
Well, you are going to save on gas.
Yeah, I can charge at home. I can plug it in at home. Now for trips and stuff, and I hit a charger station, and there's $15 or $20, and okay. I mean, it'd be like buying gas. But I'm still figuring it out, too. I'm still learning that. But for 99% of my driving, it's like to and from work and in town, and maybe it's 10, 20 miles in a day. And I can charge overnight. And like like with your Prius, you don't have to think about gasoline so much.
Yeah. Well, people were asking me, I was contesting a fuel bill at work because someone was taking one of the county cars out, and we got charged. Like, there's, the place I work at is sort of bifurcated, and my department got charged with this big gas bill. It was like $75. I'm like, hey, we don't drive that much. How come we got a $75 bill for the gas? I mean, it's $75. But the problem I had is my frame of reference is my Prius. And I go, well, wait, how much do you pay in gas every month on your Prius? And I go, I don't know. Well, how much does it cost to fill up your tank? I go, $40. I go, $40? What? I can't even top off my car for $40. And I go, oh, how often do you fill up? I go, I don't know, once a month, once every 5 weeks or something. People are looking at me like I'm a lunatic. Like, how do you get away with this? Like, and I go, oh, I didn't realize that there are other people that are out driving, like, things like the van that these people were using. $75 is topping off from quarter tank to full in the van, not so much in the Prius, right? So my frame of reference was all skewed because I'm a little austerity guy, and I'm just like, I'm just going to save money, So again, I am also wasting money on something frivolous and dumb. That lift kit was like $350, and it's probably going to cost $500 to get it installed because I'm not going to lift this thing up and try and figure out how to put the lift kit on my Prius. And then I'll probably get some new rims and tires. I don't know, maybe another $1,000. Like, I'm certainly setting fire to fiat for just dumb reasons. Like, there's, I look at it and I go, that's a pretty decent amount of sats. But yeah.
Sometimes you need a little something for yourself, for fun too.
Yeah, it's just for the lulls, like just to drive around here and just have a jacked up Prius. I think it's just gonna be funny. I don't know. I think it's hilarious. People look at me like I'm kind of like I've become very regarded. I'm well regarded around town.
Once you have that lifted Prius, it'll be you'll have cell phones out windows watching you like, hey, check that out, lifted Prius.
Well, Off-Road Prius, here's another plug it's offroadprius, I think, .com. Yeah, but they have like skid plates and light bars out the front. You can get a little roof rack and get like the fuel cans out there. I mean, these things are awesome. They're hilarious. It snowed a bunch here. My Prius was getting around all over the place. I was driving past all kinds of guys in the big 4x4s and stuck in the side of the road, and I'm just motoring right past them. So, but my problem with that was the snow got pretty deep, and I got into a couple of spots where it was like, I'm pushing snow right now, and Prius doesn't like that so much. So I figured if I could just lift it up a couple inches and get over that snow, then
see, it's practical.
Problem solved.
It's not just because it looks cool; it is very practical too.
It's going to be hilarious. It's a big.
I look forward to seeing it.
Yeah,
and
now I can just put it in the back of your Cybertruck. And
drive right now. You can load the Prius into the back of the truck.
Yeah,
and we can go on road trips like that.
Yeah,
and let it out and drive the Prius off road too.
Fun stuff.
Yeah,
I've relentlessly ribbed.
I accept it all. I deserve it.
I feel bad.
No, it's I totally get it. I do need to explain and justify what in the hell I just did.
You do not.
I should.
You got to suck it up and just run with it. I'm telling you, because if you think about it too hard, it's just going to be.
So with my study Bitcoin,
this traces us back to the beginning when I said, I'm a king of making people feel like, not great things. This is what it looks like.
It's good
I'm
for
such
me.
A dick. I really am. I don't mean to be. It's with good intentions. Doesn't matter if you're being a dick and you're a well-intentioned dick. You're still a dick.
You're not. A good friend keeps their friends in check, and if that's ribbing, hey, you got to be good for it, and I'm good for it.
I appreciate it.
I totally get it. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, so I put this study Bitcoin bumper sticker on the back of my new vehicle, and it's kind of a conversation starter. When I've charged it up, or I was traveling, and other Teslas are pulling up, and they're like, "Oh, Bitcoin, eh?" And it's been everything from, "Yeah, I do Bitcoin too," and it's been a great conversation. I've had other people who are like, "Bitcoin, what does that mean?" Like, or like, "How much did this cost?" "Oh, 1 Bitcoin." And I pointed the sticker, which is a joke, in that regard. But I think of that, that meme of the curve and the troglodyte and the person who's at their peak, like, I get it, and they don't. And then you have the Jedi Knight who like gets it.
Right.
And for me, the study Bitcoin sticker on the far left end of the troglodyte, it's like, oh, gee, you got lucky, a number went up, and that's cool, or maybe not, or douchebag. It's sort of one inroad to talk about Bitcoin. At another level, it's the person who kind of understands Bitcoin would say that doesn't make sense. You don't sell your Bitcoin, which you don't. Yes, I agree. I'm not selling my Bitcoin to buy this truck.
I'm just not getting more Bitcoin to buy this truck.
Okay. Yes, it affects that Pac-Man pie chart.
Number go up.
Number go up.
I'll tell you what, there may be some value to this. If the Bitcoin sticker, steady Bitcoin on the Tesla, people go, wow, associate success with Bitcoin.
Yes.
That's a win.
That's
I
a
call
win.
that a win. That's a great big stainless steel orange pill just driving around town.
Right. So for a lot of people that I run into, and I would say that most of the feedback I get is kind of a wow, or curiosity. Oh, wow. Or just they're just interested to know like what it all means. And if they see the Bitcoin sticker and it's like, oh, this is like a happening thing, and it's cool.
You too can be successful like me if you buy Bitcoin. See?
I hate to portray that. I really don't mean for that. At the same time,
I like it. I'm down.
If someone says, dude, you don't sell your Bitcoin, I'll be like, you're right. Well, and let's talk about that.
Yeah.
And on the Jedi end, it's sort of like, what's fiat anyway? What's dead? Who even cares because you got Bitcoin?
Yeah.
If that were to make sense for you and your portfolio, which, I mean,
it makes sense in your portfolio.
Yeah, a new vehicle is part of my portfolio,
That's
right?
not part of your
Oh,
It's just an advertising vehicle. That's all it is.
it's advertisement. Yeah. Hey, Swan, Strike, River, Unchained, any brand that's out there that thinks I'm cool, I will put your logo on the side of my Cybertruck and drive everywhere I go, advertising your corporation. How about that?
There you go. Sponsorship opportunity.
Sponsorship.
You got to clip this and put it out as a clip.
I'll tag all these companies.
Because
and
like
be
the 4 people that watch this will never get to this part of the stream.
Corey Clipston's going to be, I like that guy. Let's get
Yeah.
Swan's logo on this. Hey,
Yeah.
we're going to Pacific Bitcoin. Why don't we take the Cybertruck down to LA?
You can take. I'm flying.
Okay.
I'm not driving however many hours. That's insane. Not that
It's
I
a fun drive.
No, it's not.
Oh.
It's miserable. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Traffic down in LA?
Well, traffic in LA by itself adds about 3 hours to your journey, but then there's the traversing the continental U.S. to get there too. That's kind of problematic. I'm flying. I'll tool around with you in LA.
If I drive, I suppose. I haven't decided anything like that, but
We can go to that same bar on the Sunset Strip and see if they park your Cybertruck out front. Just like happened to me. That bar's not even there. But we'll go somewhere on the Sunset Strip.
Sure.
We'll just drive around.
I'll park the Cybertruck with the big Swan logo on the side, front and center, to say, get into Swan.
Yeah. And people go, what the hell is Swan?
They'll be
Study
like,
Bitcoin.
study Bitcoin.
River.
Yeah.
I don't know, River. Where's River? They're in like Ohio or something, right?
Ohio.
So you should just drive to Ohio and just drive around their office with a big, well, this space for rent, River.
I'm for sale.
I'm a whore. Rent me.
We'll sell for Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I have other ideas. So people are like, that's like a DeLorean.
Oh, that's right. You're gonna make a.
There's a cool video somebody did years ago. The Cybertruck time machine, from Back to the Future.
Yeah.
And they redid a snippet of Back to the Future's video with the time machine, and just one of my favorite movies. I don't know how many times I've seen it. I love that movie. And they redid the DeLorean with the Cybertruck and the time machine jump that they did. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I may clip it in here, but I have ideas, big ideas, arts and crafts, where in the back. So in the back of the Cybertruck, I could build a time machine.
Yeah.
So
with a flux capacitor and everything.
yeah. So people would perhaps recognize it as that social icon, the movie icon.
Yeah.
And not drilling holes into my truck and mounting stuff, I'd make like a canopy. I'd build a canopy that has the time machine contraption on it. The thing is stainless steel. It's got to be magnetic. Maybe I could run the flex coil around it with magnets or something. I don't know.
Easy money. No problem.
So if I build a time machine on this thing and drive it around, it's like, it's not just another Cybertruck like all these weirdos may start having someday. And it's just another one of these things. Oh, it's another one of those. I could have a time machine.
Well, to that point, when we were at Bitcoin Miami, apparently Bitcoin Magazine, it's a contentious issue these days, right? Or maybe it was back then. I don't know. I have found Bitcoin Miami. But there was a DeLorean, and some guy was renting it out, and I don't know. He had some sponsorship that.
What was that company?
I don't know, but they're handing out little flyers, like everybody that came by and wanted to sit and take a picture. They go, here, sign up for a little thing. You know, it's like just a little leader, sales leader kind of thing. Well, so you have a lot of options to monetize the cyber.
I have those thoughts. So I would just enjoy that.
You just started yourself a Cybertruck business.
Cybertruck time machine, available for events, weddings, bar mitzvahs, birthday parties. Have a time machine at your event, corporate event.
Yeah.
I'll park the Cybertruck with a time machine, your logo, Bitcoin theme.
Yeah.
And let's get back to the future with Bitcoin.
Yeah. Back to the future with Bitcoin.
Back to the future with Bitcoin.
And Elon. He just sent a Starship up, didn't he?
I hadn't been paying attention.
I think he launched Starship 4.
Oh.
Pretty impressive. There's a bunch of slow motion videos going around. It sounded like a popcorn maker going off. 5,000 tons at liftoff. Not nothing.
Wow.
Yeah. We're going to Mars. To die.
It'll be a paradise. Would you go to Mars if it was a one-way trip and there were perhaps the benefits of adventure and terraforming?
Well, I mean, it's maybe, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, the thing is, the overwhelming likelihood is that you're going to get there and you're going to die a miserable death pretty quickly.
There's that.
Like you're going to get there, something's going to break because Murphy's Law and fucking Mars. Like, go, hey, we got problems up here. That's not like what's his face? Who's that guy? Matt Damon?
Oh, yeah.
That's not going to be it.
The Martian.
Yeah, The Martian.
Good book. Pretty darn good movie.
Decent movie. Full of shit. It's not, yeah.
It was interesting in a way where, and if you read the book, it gets into detail about how he made it work to grow potatoes using his own compost and all this stuff. It was that's cool.
Yeah, it's Mars is going to be that's a tough spot.
Imagine the things they deal with on the International Space Station, where they you start getting mold, or dust starts accumulating, and you got to keep stuff clean, and stuff gets cruddy, or something stops working. Something that seemed like, oh, it just works and it's not a big deal, and then it stops working. You're like, ooh, well, we're not taking showers anymore, folks.
Yeah.
How long can you go without a shower?
A long time.
A long time, and
it sucks.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So maybe you can live on Mars and never shower in your life.
Potentially. I mean, they might pull it off. I don't know, but Mars is a harsh environment. It's really, 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 really harsh. Just radiation alone, just on the trip, that's a problem.
It's hard without much of an atmosphere. I mean, you kind of need that atmosphere.
Well, just the radiation on the journey, and you're going to get wrecked.
There's that, I guess. Can they shield that, maybe?
Well, weight. Everything comes down to weight and speed and time. But just tootling along in a little bubble for a year. Just go talk to guys that live in solitary confinement for a year. Like, go to a Supermax. Like, before you go to Mars, go live in a Supermax. See how you fare. I think I would go batshit crazy. Probably. I don't know. Maybe I'd be okay. There's far more things that can go wrong than can go right. And yet, if you pull it off, it's pretty cool. So, I don't know. Would I go to Mars? Maybe.
One-way trip could end, interestingly.
Or, you could literally, we're going to Mars. Boop. Oops. Oh, shit. How far did they get? About 300 meters up. What happened then? Well, they forgot about this one part that didn't work.
But you participated in the human effort to...
Name the people that died on the space shuttle.
The teacher... Oh, Jesus.
Memorialized in history.
I should know it.
McNulty.
No.
McNabb.
I know it. I know
was
it.
McNulty.
I'm drawing a blank right now. But honestly, I could safely.
If you got to Google it, you're not part of history.
You're in history.
Who founded the country?
How many?
Who was the first president
Who was the first president?
of the United States?
George Washington.
Part of history.
Yeah.
Who was the captain of the last space shuttle? Who's building the ship to go to Mars?
The person?
Yeah, who's the person?
Like, if you want to say Elon Musk?
Part of history. Who was the controller for the latest Starship launch?
Bob McGillicuddy.
Bob McGill.
Sorry.
I mean, if you're on the first crew that goes to Mars, zero chance either one of us is going to be the first crew that goes to Mars. Like, zero chance. Those folks might be in history. Maybe less so if they pop right after they get to orbital velocity and the thing catastrophically fails. Possibility. That shit happens in space travel.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's pretty much got to build the moon base first, right? And then you go to Mars.
Think so. They probably have to have robots building stuff.
I'd certainly live on the moon. I think that would be kind of fun. You know, like it would. What was that? The Red Planet. What was the movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger? Arnold.
Total Recall.
Total Recall.
Mm-hmm.
I might do a moon base thing. That might be kind of fun.
That was cool. Interestingly, a good friend of my mom's is a teacher who, at least at the time, lived. I grew up in Boise, Idaho, and one of the teachers that was selected to be an astronaut for that launch is a gal named Barbara Morgan. She was a teacher in McCall, Idaho, and put in to be part of this Teachers in Space program with Ronald Reagan, and got selected and went through training and all that, and was basically an alternate astronaut to go on that launch.
Right.
And if
What's your
McAuliffe?
I thought it was McNulty, but I don't know.
Not McNulty. It was. I want to say. Oh, geez. I'm gonna put it on here because it's important. So basically, if she'd have been sick or just hadn't been able to go that day,
Caught her the flu.
a family friend, Barbara, would have been on that flight. Do you remember seeing that when it blew up?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Back in the day, the teacher. We brought several classes in all together, 5th and 6th graders in a room, and they wheeled in the big TV on the pedestal.
And then traumatized.
And we all sat there watching the Teachers in Space launch. That was traumatic.
Oh, yeah.
Because we all sat there and we watched it launch live, and it was this spirit of like sort of like the Apollo stuff. We're going to the moon, folks. Hey, NASA's launching. It was a Teachers in Space program. I wanted to be an astronaut. When I was that old, my career goal was to be an astronaut. And I sat there watching the launch, and it's going. It was just a good solid minute or so of like, wow, cool, and it's launching, and it's in space. And when it blew up, we all sat there, and it's like, oh, was that first stage, second stage? What was that?
Last stage.
Where's the shuttle? And the narrators are like, seem to be having a problem here. We don't, not sure what happened, and it sunk in to all of us. Oh my goodness! I mean, that would be like, bring in the counselors. We didn't have counselors back in that day. It was like, wow, all these kids. It was like tearing up, like, what?
Yeah, it was brutal.
It was sad. It really was sad.
Yeah, and I was cool and an asshole.
I remember
still kind
to
of
this
being
day.
cool and an asshole about it. This time has passed now, so.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
I don't know.
Humanity is going to run into these kinds of challenges as we attempt to stretch our bounds. It's going to happen again and again as we try and fail and succeed and then fail.
Yeah.
I think it's the human condition, but we have to try. And if I'm part of that history, good for all of us.
Yeah.
And I'd
You are part of the
do
history.
it.
You're funding part of this program right now through your levered up cyber.
I am helping us go to Mars.
Right.
Elon,
See?
maybe you could sponsor this podcast.
Wouldn't that be hilarious?
We need it, Elon.
Yeah.
We're going to help you get to Mars in more ways than one.
He's helping you right now. He's literally feeding you some fiat bucks. Get that
That's true.
starship up in the air, buddy.
Now,
I'm not. I'm helping Toyota refine hydrogen cells, I think. I'm not even doing that. I bought my Prius used. I'm helping the Ukrainian guy that restores beat up Priuses and is an illegal car dealer in Portland. That's who I'm supporting with my fiat bucks.
It works.
And off-road Prius.
Yeah. If, as part of the Great Realignment, someday Bitcoin may help us get to Mars, could it?
I don't know.
I'm
actually sort of the opinion that it's going to disincentivize things like space exploration.
If we consolidate what we're doing and what's sustainable, maybe it's like, do we need to go to Mars or do we clean up this planet?
Well, I mean, it's certainly adventurous and all that kind of stuff. It's just, I don't know if things are incentivized to do that kind of thing. Like right now, the incentives are so broken throughout the system, you kind of go, who knows what we should be investing in right now? Like nobody knows. Nobody can figure that out. Is it worthwhile to invest in space travel and all this kind of stuff? Well, maybe, I don't know. Find out. I mean, let's get shit ironed out here first and then see where we're going after that. Like, I think that's sort of the natural thing. But the same thing with AI, like, all the people that are like, ooh, AI is going to fix everything, abundance and this and that and the other thing. I go, well, yeah, if you think that the fiat mindset is abundance, then yeah, it's going to bring you some more fiat garbage. Or it's going to make your fiat garbage cheaper, except they're going to keep taxing the shit out of you and et cetera, et cetera. So, like I said about basketball, what's basketball look like if you have rules that you can't break? I go, what's money look like if you can't break the money rules? Well, it's a different game.
Elon made a good point, years ago, and he said it many times, but people get really focused on the problems and fixing the problems, and so many problems in the world, and that we have to get everything just right before we aspire to,
Mars.
Shooting above our weight here. But Elon made a point that, humanity needs these kind of stories, these kind of high achievement goals that someday, maybe not soon, but that we at least try.
Elon's full of shit. I'll say that right now. Sorry for that.
No,
There's 250,000 years of humanity that did just fine without dreaming about any of that shit and going, we need that. They go, they were fine. We just didn't have fiat in agriculture. So
I will say, all they did was dream. They were so full of shit back then. They invented stories about gods and the sun and the moon and all these fake whatevers that fit because they needed that mental
here's
opiate.
A spoiler. We still do that.
So we still do that. But I would rather, instead of saying, hey, let's make shit up and call it the God of Ra or, pie in the sky fantasyland, what if it was something... science.
What if Mars is the pie in the sky fantasy land?
And it could be. It could be. But what grounded in reality and say science and engineering and human achievement?
Who's reality?
The
fiat reality.
Meat space.
This is the fiat reality.
Fiat reality, yes. Our meat space is fiat.
Yeah.
Is there a way to have that human achievement goal mindset around things that we want to support because we could, that are such a mission as, say, Moon or Mars or...
Those missions, I would argue, well, Elon's right. If you live in a fiat world, you need those sort of incentives. But fiat incentivizes the wrong things. That's why you have to bring in these external incentives. Like, we're going to elevate humanity through this thing. But through the elevation of humanity, we've now brought ourselves to the brink of nuclear destruction. We've brought, robot death machines. And I don't know if you guys have seen what's happening in Ukraine, but like all this amazing technology that the U.S. has is failing miserably in the field versus like guys with drones and very simple explosives and all kinds of shit. So the theater of war. There was a great discussion with the guy Eric Prince, the guy that founded Blackwater, talking to Tucker Carlson. You should really, really watch that to understand why our industrial military complex is a terrible, terrible idea.
Eric Prince was on Tucker?
Yeah,
really?
I gotta check that out. It's really, really, really good.
Wow.
And he's a pretty well grounded in the meat space fiat reality guy.
And he made a lot of money off the Iraq.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
And if you hear his side of the story, he goes, these guys, were actively, the military industrial complex people were actively trying to screw him over. Publicly, I remember it. That was and you can say what you will about like private military contractors and war profiteers and all that kind of stuff, but that's the fiat world. That's what's incentivized right now. So my ultimate thesis is like, well, when you realign the incentives, it's hard to say what actually gets incentivized. So is it space travel? I don't know. Is it disposable cars and disposable clothing, disposable food and waste? I don't think so, but it might. But AI, like all that is predicated on we need to continue wasting things so I can have a comfort level that is, XYZ. And I go, I don't know. I think Bitcoin changes that a lot.
If you don't keep consuming,
I'm going to die on that hill.
Yeah, well, that's sort of like it's like our economy will fail if you don't keep consuming stuff.
It will.
Keep
100%.
buying stuff.
You have to.
We're going to make another holiday and make you feel obligated to buy more stuff if you don't just do it on your own.
Correct. Fritz has to go.
I do have a time constraint, so I got to get going. Sorry.
He's blown up.
Shorter podcast today, as if we don't talk long enough. Yeah, I know. We've had some long, good conversations.
Yeah.
And this one's just going to be a little shorter today because I got to go. I got a nephew graduating high school, going off to college. I got family in town, and they want to ride in a new vehicle. So I'm a chaperone, chauffeur. It'll be
Bitcoin.
fun. Buy Bitcoin. Don't sell it either.
Don't sell Bitcoin.
Like I won't.
Don't lever up to buy junk.
Don't lever up. Wait. Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
We'll talk more later. See you next time, folks. Bye.